What's up, everybody? Welcome to 3D Rivals, your first line of defense against stupid movies. My name is DJ, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, my sister Devin.
What's up?
And my brother Derek.
What's up?
And this week, we're going to be going over our own theories on how the MCU can add in X-Men. And I think we should be interested. I have some good theories. But as first things first, we go to the news for the week. So I picked up a few things. One, Shang-Chi has resumed production in Australia.
Cool. So when is that coming out? Cool. Is that next year?
I don't know. Wasn't that supposed? It was supposed to be this year, wasn't it?
No.
It wasn't?
I don't think so. No, that wasn't
supposed to come out. No, I
we
thought
were
it
only
was
getting 2 movies this year.
I thought it was Black Widow and the Eternals.
2021.
Oh, okay, so it was next year.
Yeah.
It might still come out. No, they're going to push it because all the other movies.
Yeah. Because, I mean, they still going to show everything in order.
Yeah.
So. Because wasn't the second movie supposed to be the Eternals?
This year?
I think maybe.
I think so.
Like late fall, winter type time.
Think so.
Something like that. Oh, I learned something about the Eternals I didn't know. It's supposed to take place in current day.
For real? I thought it was going to be a past thing.
No, because I read a synopsis and it was like after the events of Endgame, the Eternals now have this thing to deal with, which is the Deviants, I guess. But
who?
Yeah, Deviants.
Okay, don't explain it.
Yeah, I've never really read into the Eternals, but I looked them up after I heard the movie was coming out. So they're like the bad Eternals. They're called.
Ugh. Okay, I don't even know what Eternals are. So that's less than helpful.
Isn't Thanos an Eternal?
Derek, do you know the answer to this?
Yeah, I was asking.
Oh.
I do not know the answer to that. I do not think he is, though.
Okay. All right. He's in some way related to, like, the whole Celestial, Eternal, blah, blah, blah. He's related in some way, one shape or form. We'll figure that out. But yeah. Huh?
Yeah. I said I would agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's cool. One other thing that I picked up from that, they had a picture. It was Michelle Yeoh. Yeah. She was getting a COVID test when they were saying that production was continuing. So it's apparent that she's going to be in the Shang-Chi movie.
She's from Grey's Anatomy? Is that Michelle Yeoh?
No.
She's in...
No. Like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. She's in a lot of movies.
Yeah.
Oh, who's the person from Grey's Anatomy?
I don't know.
I don't know, but she's not on Grey's Anatomy anymore, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
No,
Michelle Yeoh is like an action star from China. Like,
oh wait, was she in Tomorrow Never Dies?
Or was she? See, now I gotta look this up. Fine.
Is it 2 L's?
Oh, look at
L and Michelle Yeoh.
How am I supposed to know? 2. It's 2 L's.
Okay.
Oh, she's Malaysian. Okay.
Is that how you spell that?
Okay, so
why wouldn't I just IMDb her? That made this so difficult for myself.
Yeah, IMDb.
I know. I don't know why I didn't.
I mean, not like we're definitely not doing research while the show is recording. That's not.
No, we're not doing it at all.
She was in Tomorrow Never Dies.
We have a research doc for that.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I remember from Tomorrow Never Dies.
All right. See, look at me knowing things.
Yeah, but Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I haven't heard of these movies. Crazy Rich Asians.
Okay.
Which, of course. Star Trek Discovery. Didn't see that, but yeah. Yep. Okay, so yeah, but she's a big name. So apparently they're getting her. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another bit of news. It's kind of a why are you doing this type of thing. Beauty and the Beast is getting a prequel series on Disney Plus.
A prequel to what? She didn't do anything.
I don't know.
Hey,
I don't know.
About Beast and how he got his how he got that Beast. We already know that's how the movie opened.
I think it's supposed to have be about Gaston or something like that.
Gaston was uninteresting.
Yeah,
he was annoying.
Okay, just no.
No, I'm not even going to check this out to see if it's good. Because why?
It's funny because I think I mentioned this to Devin before, or maybe it was the three of us, but it was off the air, where I mentioned all the different Disney sequels that came out that we didn't know about, like Bambi 2, Cinderella 2 and 3. I'm like, why?
Wait, there was a third one?
There's a
Cinderella, yeah, there's 3.
What's 3
I
about?
definitely never watched any of the sequels.
3 might be a prequel. I don't know. I didn't watch it.
Oh, stupid.
Literally, the only sequels I ever watched was Aladdin and Lion King.
All 3
Aladdin was cool.
movies were good.
Yeah, they didn't come out in theaters though.
No, they didn't.
I think the King of Thieves should have come.
The King of Thieves, I really like
King
that.
of Thieves is good. I like the Kings of Thieves better than Return of Jafar.
Yeah, Return of the Fire is definitely the worst one.
Yeah. I like what Darren said about Bambi 2. Talk about what his father died in this one.
Wasn't his dad already dead? Right? It was just Bambi and his mom, right?
Probably.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, I think his father died in the beginning.
Oh no, it's Bambi 2, Bambi's Revenge.
It's just Bambi taking out cars.
Bambi got an AK-47 with some shells going across his chest. This time, Bambi hunts you.
Bambi 2, Rise of the Buck.
Yeah. Yeah, they shouldn't do those.
No,
all right.
Because I have no idea what Bambi 2 would even be about.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Nothing at all. We speak of the... Okay, so I've told the story about the rabbit that I accidentally killed in my backyard, right?
Yes.
So there was a rabbit sitting out in our backyard today, and I was like, well, my wife was like, you think it's the one that survived? Because there were 2 of them, and the other one, I saw hopping away. And we were like, I was like, it could be. I doubt it, but it could be. And then I was like, wait, what if it's there and he's here to get his revenge because I killed his brother?
Exactly what. He was just plotting, waiting for you.
He's like, step outside. Yeah. All right. I have a couple of more bits of news. One, AMC and Universal has reached a deal where it's going to be a 17-day theatrical window. So Universal movies that come out will be in the theaters for 17 days before they show it on video on demand.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. That's unprecedented because usually it was 6 months a while ago, right?
Yeah.
It was definitely shorter than that in most recent years. But this is interesting.
I think you have to, since so many people aren't going to go to the movies.
Yeah. Apparently, AMC is going to get part of the money from the video on demand. Mm-hmm. That's one way to do it.
Yeah.
But that's interesting because we were talking about a while ago, whether or not the theaters, how long they're going to survive and how movies will look in the future. And I think this has a lot to do with how Trolls did. They're not giving us the information from that, but I think this move does have to do with how well movies like that had done on video on demand.
Yeah. I mean, I think at this point you got to assume that they're going to do well anyways, because what else are we going to do?
Nobody's going to the movies. Yeah.
So,
I mean, I'm starting to think movies, if you're not like a real big blockbuster movie, there really isn't a point in keeping your movie in theaters for a long time.
Yeah.
True.
It's true.
True.
I mean,
yeah.
So
I say it like this.
interesting.
I say it like this. What would be a nice idea? Like how they did with Endgame. And it was like they were so close to breaking the record and they released Endgame out again.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like after a certain time, you know, if they're doing well with money, you know, making money and they continuing to making money, keep it in the theaters. Or if it is at that time, re-release it out in theaters. Because if it's good enough, people are still going to go see it, even if you re-release it. Because people did that with Endgame.
You mean after the 17-day period? If in those 17 days you had a lot of movie ticket sales, re-release it.
Yeah. Either keep it on, or re-release it later on. And I mean, I wouldn't let too much time pass. Like, you know, maybe a month, you know, re-release it, or a month or less.
I say it depends on the movie because, like we said, like Endgame, I would. Even if I waited 2 weeks to see it, I would still go to see that in the theater rather than watching it on video on demand.
Yeah, it absolutely depends on the movie. I think, like you said, like a blockbuster, like a Tenet, Black Widow, or whatever, that is something you see in the theater if you can.
But Men in Black,
I was also thinking like Hamilton, like people would have went to the theaters to see that.
they would have. Ooh, that's a long time in the theater though.
It's just long. You saw Endgame and that was longer.
Endgame didn't seem like it was that long.
I mean, to be honest, to not be into musicals, though, it was good enough that I believe that they can still release that in theater after people watching it, and people will still go see it.
Well, people have been watching it nonstop since it dropped on Disney Plus. People are still talking about it.
I can't. Yeah. I can't listen. I can't watch something that has constant singing.
No,
like I like musicals too, but
that was a
100% a musical.
Yeah, I was surprised about the 100%. Like, oh, there's no dialogue; it's all singing.
Yeah. So
singing is the dialogue.
I know that was made it like, oh, I wasn't ready.
So, but like a movie like Men in Black, I would wait 2 weeks and then watch it on video on demand. Actually, would I? Because personally, for me, the video on demand would cost more than me just going to see the movie.
No, you're assuming you're going by yourself. You also have a wife.
Okay. All right. So movies that I would take my entire family to that aren't blockbusters, I would watch it on video on demand. There we go. Cool. All right, so I just thought that was interesting. We'll see how the landscape of movies change in the future because I have a feeling after 2020, it's going to be much different. We'll see. And I'm going to end the news off with a rumor.
Okay.
All right, so we have a rumor for Captain Marvel 2. Apparently, it's going to be adopting the Secret Invasion storyline, and it's going to be kind of like Civil War. Like Civil War was a mini Avengers movie, so they're saying Captain Marvel 2 is going to be like a mini Avengers movie.
Okay.
I saw that same rumor. I thought if that's somewhat of true, that would be really good. Because I think
cool, but they're going to do all the Secret Invasion in one movie? The other movies before, they got to touch on that, right?
Yeah, Secret Invasion definitely needs to be set up into... Like, if you're going to call it Captain Marvel Secret Invasion, I better see some fake Skrull people throughout the movies leading up to it.
Right.
Like,
I can see a lot of end credits showing that. Like how
I'm fine with
Homecoming ended. I mean...
I'm fine with that. Yeah. Like, it's an end credit and then Ant-Man turns into a Skrull?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. Oddly enough, today... And I picked a random episode because y'all know I don't watch seasons in order of Earth's Mightiest Hero, and I picked the episode when I first discovered the Skrull. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, I forgot that's how it happened. It was just the whole episode was about them fighting the Hydra, and at the end, it turned out the Hydra that had been killed in quotation marks was actually a Skrull, and the episode ended. So like you could definitely end, Doctor Strange like, oh, by the by. Doctor Strange was a Skrull. The end. and then Captain Marvel.
I mean, like how? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was done.
Oh, I was gonna say like how surprised we were when on that end credit from Far From Home, and Samuel was a Skrull. Like,
oh yeah,
we were just like, what? Then it's just like, all right, how long was he? You know, like how long has it been? Was it this whole time? Was it just during this time period?
Yeah, even though they're good, that is kind of setting it up because that is planting the seed that we don't know if the characters we're watching are actually those characters. So they did already start planting that seed, right?
Yeah. Which is good, which makes sense.
Anything, there's good ones and there's bad ones. So we don't know who's who on that front either.
Since the first Captain Marvel movie, when it's like, oh, Skrulls are in it, the whole thing I'm just thinking about is, well, you got to do the Secret Invasion. I mean,
yeah,
it's like guaranteed. Like, I want that now. So that's what that movie's going to be about. I mean, I'm excited for it.
Supposedly. The second part of that rumor is that Miss Marvel will also be in the movie. Now, I believe she will already be introduced because her TV show's coming out before Phase 5. So
we will already know about her character at that point.
Maybe.
So, aside for her just idolizing Captain Marvel, how does she relate to Captain Marvel? Do they team up for stuff, or...
I haven't read any Captain Marvel.
I haven't either. All I know is that she's actually an Inhuman, so she's not like a mutant or an enhanced person.
I say they make her a mutant.
Just make her a mutant. I don't want to see Inhumans. Yeah. That's just no.
Just make her a mutant. And actually, it'd be easier to explain where she got her powers from, which, of course, we're going to be theorizing later on in the podcast.
Yeah.
But
I say just make her a mutant. However you explain mutants in the MCU, just make her one of those.
It's easy. It makes everything so much easier if she just a mutant. Especially since the Inhumans are so complicated for no reason. Just make her a mutant.
Yeah, and then honestly, there are no, like, if you look at the MCU as just the movies, there are no Inhumans.
No.
Like, they haven't touched on it at all. Let's not even start that mess.
Yeah, it's something they don't need to touch on. I feel like it adds nothing to it, so don't. So it's like, there's cool Inhumans anyway, so pretty sure someone's going to write to me and list all the cool ones, but whatever.
I do like Black Bolt, though. I feel like...
after that TV show, I don't. After that TV show, I don't like Black Bolt.
Right, I mean... You say Black Bolt, I'm thinking of that guy from the TV show, and I'm just like, no.
And then they're not even good. They're a royalty, and if you get horrible inhuman powers, they make you work in mines. That is a bad government. Yeah. Like, we fought against governments like that in the real world. That is horrible. Why would I root for these people?
He has a good point.
Yeah.
It's a very good point.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, goodness gracious. Horrible. No. No Inhumans. All right. That's going to be about it for the news. And I just wanted to say, we have been doing our podcast for almost 2 years now. And we had a pretty easy time getting everything started and getting it going. And that's because we used Buzzsprout. Now, if you were interested in starting your own podcast, it's a good time to try and start one, and it's pretty easy to set up, and Buzzsprout can help you out. Buzzsprout is hands down the easiest and best way to launch, promote, and track your podcast. Your show can be online and listed in all major podcast directories like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts within minutes of finishing your recording. And I can say that is actually true because after we post our podcast, it's immediately on all of those platforms. So podcasting isn't hard when you have the right partners, and Buzzsprout has the best team, and they're passionate about helping you succeed. So we do have an affiliate link. If you're interested in starting your podcast, you can go to our affiliate link and use Buzzsprout to help you out and get it started. All right, with that being said, let's jump into our main topic, which is how will the MCU bring out the X-Men or mutants in general.
Okay.
Okay.
So, why don't we start with Devin? What was your ideas? What are your theories on how this can be done?
My main theory, the one I think that makes the most sense, is since you guys made me read The House of M. And honestly, for a comic book, it wasn't bad. I cannot say about all of those, but House of M wasn't bad. It made me think like that's the perfect way to introduce mutants. So in the House of M, right, basically Scarlet Witch goes crazy, right? She creates fantasy worlds for herself, blah, blah, blah. And then she says no more mutants. But also she created a reality where everyone got what they wanted. So looking at the trailers for Scarlet Witch, obviously she's in a fake reality, right? She's married to Vision, she has kids, and it's like different things like the 50s and the 70s or whatever. So I'm thinking, it's like, what if the mutants are introduced through a reverse House of M? Instead of her getting rid of mutants, her crazy self creates mutants, right? She brings her brother back, right? She brings Vision back. And all of a sudden, she creates a world where people have powers. I kind of feel like that's how to me that makes the most sense, and it's the easiest way to do it.
Okay, all right. So it is apparent that WandaVision is going to be House of M, and you just think after WandaVision, boom, mutants in the MCU, plain and simple.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why make it hard?
All right, that's interesting. So I mean, like, it's just into that series. They put so her famous line is "No more mutants," right? And she gets rid of it. So they just add a comma, and it goes "No more mutants." Is that?
Okay.
They be a little more creative, you know what I mean? But
that's a way you could do it. My only question about that is, what about not everyone's going to watch the Disney Plus TV shows. So what about those audience members?
I think is that you tell a story in your mid credits and end credit scenes. You know what I mean? Like, you figured lately the end credit scenes has been like a snapshot from the upcoming movie, right?
Yeah.
So then that scene where she creates mutants, that's like the end credit of Captain Marvel or something, or, Black Widow or whatever. So that way, even if you never watch the show, you say, whoa, mutants are here. So that way you don't have to, no one is left out.
Okay. Interesting.
My thing about your theory, Devin. Now, you said that she created a world that added mutants. Mm-hmm. But by her creating this world, she ever snaps to or come through, will that world still exist?
Okay. But in the House of M, she really did get rid of all the mutants, right? Like, that continued. Yeah. They spent a long time with there only being like 100 mutants on Earth.
True.
Yeah, she literally altered reality and took people's powers away.
Yeah.
Okay.
So okay, like, obviously Wanda's gonna go crazy. She has lots of reasons to, based on the MCU, right?
Yeah, on the MCU,
plenty of reasons.
I mean, yeah, kind of similar to in the comic book, So I mean, for her to go crazy in the MCU is perfect.
Yeah. So my only question is, what reason does she have to make more people with powers? Is she gonna be like persecuted because she's weird?
Maybe she felt like if there was more people with powers, Thanos wouldn't have won. Right? You figure half of the Avengers are human.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, up until Captain Marvel came along, she's basically the strongest one.
True.
Right. Yeah, all of our Avengers was guy in suit.
Really strong human, but he's still a human.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we had some spies.
Yeah.
And then the Hawk. So the Hawk was like the only real
but
mutated person.
Even if the Hawk was the Hawk in the movie, he can't beat Thanos anyways.
No, he can't.
And then one alien.
Who's the alien? Thor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but Thor can't beat Thanos either.
No.
Not pound for pound.
No. She was the only one that was besides Captain Marvel until she got yeeted off the screen by the Power Stone.
Yeah. Well, I would say Captain Marvel would be more powerful than Thor. I mean, not Thor, but Thanos. But because of the stones that put his power level to a whole nother level.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, I was saying in Endgame, the only two people...
he only did it because he had the Power Stone. Yeah.
Yeah, the only two people that stood up to him was Captain Marvel and Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Thor, I mean, he got some hits in, but Thanos was really beating him. Like, Thor wasn't 100% either. Yeah.
So I'm saying you figure everything that happened, right? If there was more powered humans, right? I mean, maybe Pietro never dies.
Yeah.
Right? I mean
that's a really good logic, because then that goes to the theory of with Tony, where he said, like, well, if we had Iron Man suits across the world and guarding the Earth, this could have been prevented. So, I mean, you can have that same type of thinking. If more people had power, we would have had a better chance.
Yeah. Okay. Seems reasonable to me.
I mean, yeah. That makes sense. I like it.
Yeah, I like that.
What happens there?
I like that.
All right, Derek, what's your theory?
My theory is just like how they introduced everyone to the MCU to us. Like with Iron Man and Thor, like they didn't start in the middle of their stories that's in the comic book. Like we were introduced to them. Like it was the beginning of Tony Stark. It was the beginning of Thor becoming a hero and a king. They showed the beginning of Captain America. So I feel like instead of having mutants at the age of the rest of the heroes, kind of start them out how they were like with First Class. I mean, not like the First Class movie, but like started out like that, where they're new and they just coming to having their powers. And the source of their powers is what happened with Endgame and everything. So it was just like what Thanos did still had a lasting effect on the universe. And so like people started to show power because of what he had done. But it, just like in the comic books with X-Men, it takes time. Like people don't show powers right away. And what I was thinking about with it is how they introduced Spider-Man. They didn't introduce Spider-Man as a older teenager or a young adult. He's a kid. It was just like, why not introduce these mutants as kids? Like, because when X-Men started, they were like kids. Only person was old was, Professor X. Well, he was older. But I'm just like, introduce them just like how they did Spider-Man. Like around that age. They're young heroes. They will eventually become young heroes, I should say.
Okay, so all the mutants are going to be young.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I just someone needs to be an adult.
Okay. Well, my question is, if they're all young, how did the mutants come about?
Right, because you're saying they just started off, but Thanos Snap is only 2 years ago. So how are they all already teenagers?
Well, it would have been 5 years.
Or 5 years.
Yeah.
Well, then they would be
so
children.
The gene were in the adults that were around, or whoever was around at that time. So I could be 15, 5 years later, I'm 20. I get married, have a kid. My kid displays this gene that's dormant in me.
But by your theory, we're not going to get mutants until 10 years from now.
Yeah, 15 years from now.
Yeah.
Right.
2035.
Right. I didn't think of that time period gap. But you are right about that. But somewhere along those lines, though,
So you're basically saying is basically how the mutants are anyways, right? And mutants they're just born with that power. So you're saying Thanos created basically a genetic anomaly in people where now people are born with powers. That's fine. The only issue is that it would take too long to get here. Because then it'd be 20 years and like, oh, hey, yeah, mutants.
Yeah, I don't know if they went. They might wait like probably at maximum 5 years. I don't think wait that long before.
Yeah, but I do X-Men. Like what Devin brought up with my idea though. You know, Xing out like them, all of them being young. That same theory will work with it being shown in humans. Like since then, but since it was so few, we don't know all who has what yet.
Yeah, I think I was gonna say like I had like a list of like who I want to see next, and I feel like the best way to like start introducing mutants into films is just one at a time, right? We don't have the X-Men, right? You know, we don't have like the Brotherhood of Mutants. It's like, hey, you know, Rogue is in a movie. We all know Rogue is a mutant, you know what I mean? But not have that mashup of people. I think that to me, I would rather see that than, you know, there's a mutant in, you know, a few movies, but, you know, we don't have the X-Men.
Yeah. Well, I like that idea. And to expound on that, what I was thinking, we know the origin of the main people of the X-Men, the main mutants, the main villains. And with what you're saying, like add one, like per movie, it's real easy to do that. Like it's rumored that Storm could possibly be in Black Panther. Well, Storm started out in Africa before she even became an X-Man. So that would work. You know, like what you said, like with Rogue. Rogue could be doing whatever she's doing in connection with a movie. When you think about like Wolverine, he could be an army guy, whatever, and he just has healing power. You know, but you can lead that into Department H and Weapon X, you know, so it's like we can actually get and see the introduction to these characters in a movie, and it doesn't have to be sped along. Because that's another thing that we have run into with the current mutants and X-Men movies. Is like, even when it comes to an origin story, it's like sped along so fast. Like they don't expound on the story. It's just we filling it in with knowledge that we know about the character already.
Yeah, and we got plenty of characters that were introduced in other movies instead of their own. Black Widow was introduced in Iron Man 2. Black Panther was introduced in Civil War along with Spider-Man, and it didn't like that introduction worked. It actually let us know about that character. So
it didn't take away from the main character of the movie. Like it didn't take away from Captain America. It didn't take away from Iron Man.
Well, that and everyone doesn't need a true origin movie either.
Right. Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of, one thing Marvel does well is a lot of their characters have such a rich background. Like, you know, like you said, Wolverine, before he became, you know, an X-Men, his history before that was pretty great. And like the people I was like, oh, the people I want to see is people that has a whole, like a rich comic book background before they joined whatever organization. And then since a lot of them are connected to characters we already have, I think it'd be kind of great to do that anyway, to do that.
Okay. Yeah. I think that would be good. I think I agree with that. Just, you know, introduce them in each movie. I'm not so sure about them becoming mutant. However, they're born mutants, now newborn mutants.
Yeah. We're talking about
unless we do another time skip.
Talking about it in this forum showed all the loopholes that I missed.
Yeah, but that's pretty cool. All right, I guess I will give my theory. So, my theory is that the X gene has always existed in the MCU. It just has never like activated any mutant powers in anyone. And I think the Infinity Stones have a lot to do with it, because if you look at Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, they were the only ones to survive the experiments with the Mind Stone. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say the Mind Stone didn't give them their powers like everyone thought it did. It just activated their X gene. And that's the reason why they're the only ones that didn't die, because they were mutants and the Mind Stone just activated their X gene instead of killing them. And since there were 3 snaps on Earth, you had one snap from Thanos, one from Hulk, and one from Tony Stark. They were all on Earth. A lot of the energy from the Infinity Stones went throughout the planet, which may have activated X genes in different people, which will explain why we don't have children as mutants, but some older people as well. So I doubt that's my thought. I was saying they shouldn't introduce any in Phase 4, because I was looking at the Phase 4 movies. I don't think there's any good spot to introduce any. Maybe Eternals, maybe Doctor Strange, but like Black Widow, I wouldn't introduce one or anything like that. You said bring Quicksilver back. I actually say don't.
Well,
leave him dead.
I feel like that's something she would want to do. I mean, we can definitely get a different actor to play Quicksilver. I'm not in love. But I would love to get Quicksilver back into these movies. Just because I like him as a comic book character, and I felt like I have yet to get the Quicksilver that I saw in the cartoon.
Yeah, well, they did cast the Quicksilver from the Fox universe in WandaVision. So we don't know what role he's playing, but
he could just be part of her imagination.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say I do.
Or she goes to the Fox universe.
Yeah. I kind of agree with you. Like, don't introduce anyone into Phase 4 because I don't think they fit. But Phase 5, because Phase 5 is when you get like Black Panther 2, right?
Yeah.
So then you can introduce Storm. And I'm really hoping the Submariner shows up, but he can be in Black Panther 3. He ain't got to be in Black Panther 2.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, well, they
had
keep
written down
that they want that. I mean, you know, fans want that to be the villain in 2.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say. Black Panther 2, because Namor is a mutant.
Yep.
Yes.
Only problem with that is, if the snaps created mutants, then why do we have a whole Atlantis civilization?
Don't worry about it. Just let it go. Just let that be a plot hole.
But yeah, so I was saying you introduce both Storm and Namor in Black Panther 2. Captain Marvel 2, I was saying you introduce Rogue in that, because we know Rogue's powers comes from Captain Marvel.
Well, wait.
That would be... You can make that Captain Marvel 3.
That's what I'm saying. Is it better for her to be in Captain Marvel 3? Because she takes her powers and she ends up in a coma, right? That is the end it, right?
That's
Bam. She has no powers.
Yeah.
It's a perfect way to end it.
Okay. Could you introduce her in 2 and have her take her powers in 3?
You could do that. Yeah. But see, and this is the issue. Like, I would love, and I know she's been overdone badly, Mystique, because Mystique has a huge role in Rogue's life. And if you could...
Yeah, you can.
She adopted her.
Yeah, and if we could get that into a movie, that would be great. But since Mystique was poorly done in these last X-Men movies, you can't do it. But it would be great if you could.
Especially since the last Fox universe had such a big focus on Mystique. No, I wouldn't.
For no reason, because it was bad. Jennifer Lawrence sucks.
Because to be honest, to compare her to a MCU character, Mystique fighting style is like Black Widow, on top of she can look like anybody.
Right. And then on top of that, I mean, her and Wolverine ran into each other back in the day. She also has healing power. Yeah. I feel like, she would be the perfect person to introduce, and that can cross through all of these movies. But we can't do it because Fox ruined her.
Yeah. I definitely would leave.
I mean, you have to leave her out. It just sucks that you do. Because she fits so perfectly.
But now that you mention that, I did have a list of characters I thought we should use. Now, obviously, we will use a lot more than this. It's just, I just thought I would point these out. I say because we're not going to have the extensive history unless Devin's theory is right and like Wanda does some weird stuff to reality. Since we're not going to have the history, I say no Magneto, because you can't do Magneto without the history of the Holocaust. And not only that, we're in 2023 now. If you still have him as a Holocaust survivor, he's what?
80, 90 years old.
90?
Yeah.
I don't think it works well. No. Also, no Professor X, since we had 2 Professor X already. And this is a hot take, but I say no Wolverine.
I would agree with that. I say give us X-23, and then you can still mention the Wolverine we had in the Fox to say, hey, she's a clone of him. And that gives you where, hey, we acknowledge she exists. She's his clone. No Wolverine.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Replace Wolverine with X-23, similar character.
I was thinking about... Oh, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. I was just mentioning Magneto can be replaced with his daughter, Polaris.
I would love to see Polaris in a movie.
Which I think would be awesome. We saw her in The Gifted, which was really good.
Yeah, I felt that she was one of the best characters on the show.
Yeah. And then Professor X, Emma Frost was done twice already, but the one in X-Men Origins Wolverine, that was barely anything. So she was only really in First Class. I think you can redo her for the MCU.
I think you definitely can. I mean, honestly, First Class is kind of like, it was good, but it's forgettable. So Emma Frost is also on my list of someone I want to see, because she wasn't really done justice in First Class.
Yeah.
Like,
well, they didn't even really talk about her telepathy in it. I mean, they did kind of, but it was more about her diamond power.
Yeah, so Emma Frost, I definitely think that she can, especially since she's kind of like, she's bad and then she's good and just like, don't trust her for real, but she's really cool, so we need her on our team. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. So, I was thinking that we do that, and then I have some ideas for solo movies, because even though you introduce mutants in other people's movies, I think it would be good to have some mutant solo movies come up. So, I had 3 that I would like to see. One, I say they do a Gambit movie.
Yep.
Because he's interesting, and I think Marvel can do it very well. I'm sorry, but no, don't choose Channing Tatum.
God,
for that.
No. There's someone else is out there.
Yeah, I don't. Why were they looking at Channing Tatum? Like, I don't.
He doesn't fit at all.
Channing Tatum. I don't think he's. Yeah.
No, he doesn't fit at all. That's a horrible choice.
Get someone from New Orleans. I don't know.
Yeah.
You gotta, or French. I don't know. You gotta be able to do the accent.
Yeah. You definitely need a country person.
Yeah. So that, okay, although this next character has been done twice already, I still don't think he was done justice. It may be just because he's my favorite X-Men, but I think a Nightcrawler solo movie would be good.
You can, if you do a Nightcrawler solo movie, you can also introduce Rogue and Mystique in that too.
I was gonna say, do we have Nightcrawler without Mystique?
You can have Nightcrawler without Mystique. I mean, did they really touch on that she was his mother in any of the movies?
No, well, they should have.
They definitely should have, but they never did.
Yeah. I mean,
you can give Mystique a one and done.
I really do like Nightcrawler. I don't know if I want a solo Nightcrawler movie.
I'm not too sure about that either.
Okay.
But I mean,
what did he do before he joined the X-Men?
I'm not a big Nightcrawler fan, though.
Wasn't he just in a circus?
Yeah, he was in a circus.
That's it. That's not interesting at all.
Yeah. But he was abused, too, though.
Okay, like, I want to see that. I don't want to see that.
All right, fine. I'm like, you can make it interesting. He's an interesting character.
I mean, yeah, you can. I mean, you can. For me, I'm just not really all that interested in Nightcrawler. But I mean, yeah.
Because if you say that, that means you can't do a Robin movie either. Because
who's a movie? No one. We'll see a movie about Robin.
Okay.
Hey, I would like to watch Robin introduced as into Nightwing. I'll watch that.
Right. But we said Robin, though.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
No, not
Yeah,
you.
no, just say Robin. Nah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So y'all probably ain't gonna like the last person. I just wanted to go way outside of the box. He's not even a mutant. Give us a Juggernaut movie, like his origins. No. Look. Do like an Indiana Jones-esque movie, like before he gets
when
his
he's
powers
getting the little thingy
becomes...
that gave him his powers.
Yeah.
No.
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 I was trying to look. It'd be something outside of the box.
That is
something
different. Outside of the box.
I don't see Juggernaut in anything. No.
All right, fine.
I'm vetoing that. No. No.
Wow.
You know who I had on my list? Not for a solo, but to show up in a movie? Kitty Pryde.
Oh, you could do a Kitty Pryde solo movie.
And did you know she was a member of Guardians of the Galaxy?
No, I didn't know that.
Did not know that. I don't know how you gonna fit her in, but I was like, throw her in.
Well, James Gunn's not going to introduce it.
I know, and they're already on the third movie. But yeah, she's a member of Guardians of the Galaxy. I had no idea.
Huh. Put her in a post-credit scene.
There you go. That's
how you can get past the director. You'd be like, I don't want this, and like, okay, can we just do a post-credit scene?
Yeah.
All right. Interesting.
Go ahead.
No, that was it. I was just saying it was interesting. Go ahead.
I was going to say about what you said about like with Magneto and Professor X. Watching the animated cartoon, they didn't go the Holocaust route with Magneto, but they did say that the country he was in a civil war, and his family and everything were taken and abused and stuff. So it was just like whatever side of the war his people was on, they were the ones that were being persecuted and everything. And that's what upsetted him. So I'm like, you can go that with anywhere. There's a lot of civil unrest and civil wars that go on in countries that sometimes we don't readily hear about right away.
So are you going to do him like they do everybody else and just make him Sokovian? You can, because everybody else is. It will work, though.
That is true if he's just from a war-torn country and not the Holocaust. That's the only way to do it.
Well, I know you still need the hatred of a people. I think that is important.
You will still get that, though, Dan. If he's from
because when he displayed his power, he will feel like, if I had this power, I could have prevented this from happening. And now that I do, I can, and we don't have to be weak anymore. He could say they picked on our country because they felt that we were weak.
Be the same thing.
Yeah.
You'll still get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I get it. It's not the same thing because, I mean, we know X-Men had the racial undertones to it. Right. And I think the whole point about him being persecuted in the Holocaust was just
right. But Darren, you're acting like right now there aren't countries where they're persecuting a certain race within their country.
I mean, yeah, you can.
True.
I mean, China's doing
actually,
it right
I
now.
can think. Well, this episode's not airing in China. No, probably none of this is airing in China.
Right? I mean, but think about it, right? Isn't that what China's doing?
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Honestly, to
I want to say Uyghurs, but I'm probably
Muslim Chinese, isn't it? Aren't they?
Muslim? Yeah, the Chinese Muslims. I think they're called Uyghurs. Is someone? I'm pronouncing that wrong.
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah. Okay.
So you will still get that, right? A group of people that's getting hoarded off to live in a certain area because they're different.
You've got unmentioned country in the Middle East.
Yes. So I feel like it doesn't have that impact of the Holocaust, but you will still get that same general thing, right? Yeah. War to our country. We were persecuted because we were, we weren't the same race as these other people. So you'll get the same
Yeah.
thing.
Okay. All right. So then we can get a young Magneto.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, I feel like in order to create like the X-Men, you do need Professor X and Magneto. Like, I feel like we can ignore it for now. We can ignore it for quite a while. But if Marvel ever wanted to do X-Men movie, I feel like you kind of have to have those two.
It's just that they've been done.
Which is why I'm
Because
saying
it's the
it could
same way
be
that
10
they
years from
introduced
now.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the same way that they did the Avengers. You can't have the Avengers without Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America.
Yeah, it's a different
Like,
story
yeah, they
though,
introduced
because
other
none of
those
those characters have movies.
Right.
I know,
Look.
but that's where we have to get our thinking away from. We can't compare it to what we have had already. Because basically what
It's going to
Marvel is
be.
telling us, like, it was done bad. We're not going to go that route.
That's like saying we're going to do a Wolverine, but you can't compare it to Hugh Jackman. You know good and well it's going to
you don't touch Wolverine. You don't touch Wolverine. But I feel like you can redo Professor X and Magneto because the Fox movies were so awful. Nothing against James McAvoy and them. They were fine. But the movies suck. So Marvel could be like, yeah, that didn't happen.
Right.
So I'm like, don't do it now. You can do it 10 years from now. And everyone will not be thinking about those movies because they're so forgettable. It doesn't even matter.
True. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I feel you.
I compare it to, okay, it took them a while to do Star Trek movie. And they did it with Zachary Quinto and Christopher Pine.
Mm-hmm.
They did Star Trek movies in the 90s. But it's like, it was such a while before one ever came out that when that came out, everybody was like, wow, this was really good.
Well, that's the same comparison because he was Captain Kirk. Captain Kirk was in the 60s, right?
Yeah.
I was like,
so you gotta.
Yeah, but they were still making continuations.
No, we're not gonna have
in
a
the
40-year
when they were
gap.
old.
And this Derek can be like, oh, that Star Trek movie in the 90s, because the Star Trek movie in the 90s is different than the Star Trek movie they just did. Because the 90s was what? Patrick Stewart in them, right?
Basically, Derek, what you're saying is we redo the X-Men, but without Magneto, Professor X, and Wolverine, because that's basically what the Star Trek reboots were.
Yeah.
It's like it's not the same characters.
Yeah.
But let's say this though. All right, they said Phase 4 is going to be over 3 or 4 years, right?
No, Phase 4 is 2 years.
2 years. All right, 2 years. Then they start in Phase 5. Phase 5 is rumored where they're going to be introducing mutants. And they came out and said that there will be no mutant movie. So it's not going to be an X-Men movie in Phase 5 or a standalone mutant movie in Phase 5. So let's say that's another 2 years. So that's 4 years. So you mean to tell me in 5 or 6 years it won't be okay for an X-Men movie?
I'm saying they don't have to. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're saying that they don't have to, but compared to like when the last X-Men movie came out, it would be 2019 when that came out. So you're saying by the year 2024,
whenever they release,
25.
Whenever they release New Mutants.
Well, that's a standalone movie at this point, right?
And
ain't gonna be no Professor X, Magneto, Wolverine in that movie.
You can't count that movie at all. That movie's just...
Yeah, you can't. I
That's
wouldn't
nothing.
count
Don't
that.
even. That don't count at all.
So I'm saying, Dark Phoenix came out in 2019. You don't think an X-Men movie in 2026 would be too soon? Do you think that would be too soon for an X-Men movie?
No.
Or a standalone mutant movie?
No, I don't think it's going to be too soon, but they're not going to do it because there's not enough time to introduce the X-Men.
Well, I was saying like certain characters will be introduced in Phase 5.
Right.
Like
So
on that idea where we said like one character in each movie.
Yeah, one thing we gotta go over is why do people hate mutants? Because we've got this universe.
why
right?
they hate mutants. This is easy. They're different. Next. Why do they hate them in the comic book? They're different, X.
Okay.
I mean, it's already kind of like that with the Avengers. People don't like them because they have powers and they can't be checked. The government wants them to work for them.
Yeah, that's the easy answer.
Now you have humans that have abilities that didn't even have to do anything to get them.
True. They just got them.
They just got
unearned, technically. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see which of these gets close to what Marvel has in mind. It's going to be a few years, I guess, before we find out.
Yeah.
But why don't you guys let us know how you think mutants will be introduced into the MCU? You can reach out to us on Facebook.com, or you can email us 3drivals@gmail.com. Or did I say our whole Facebook thing?
I don't know.
I don't think you did.
Nope. No, it's Facebook.com/3drivals.
You just said Facebook.com.
Yeah. Look us up. Figure it out. No, Facebook.com/3drivals. Let us know. What do you guys think? Other than that, did y'all have any other ideas or
you
whatever?
Just started the ending. Now you want to ask us if we have more ideas?
I was asking them for their input, so I thought it would be a good idea to tell them where they could give us their input.
Okay.
All right.
No.
We'll let you slide with that one.
No. Okay. All right. Well, other than that, I'd like to thank you guys for listening to the podcast. Make sure you check out more of our episodes wherever you listen to your podcasts. And other than that, thank you so much for listening again. Peace out.
Peace out.